Hey yo, Mark here for Mark's Max Muscle, and today I'm going to be doing a fan requested video. Giovanni would like to see the greatest posers of all time. That's an interesting topic and a great choice for a video, so thanks Giovanni, and keep the good ideas coming. So without further ado, let's get started. Bodybuilding has always been about presentation. And, well, how you present yourself to the judges. It's one thing to be able to hit the poses properly, have all the muscles flexed at once, and to have perfect placing. That's an art on its own. It's something else to be able to put it all together for a 2 to 4 minute posing routine. Now, that definitely takes talent. I would be remiss to say guys like Steve Reeves and Reg Park were the greatest posers of all time. I honestly can't say whether or not they were great posers because of, well, lack of video footage. So I basically have to go by the only routines that I can find on the internet. So not much before the 1980s. Of course, this guy was featured on Pumping Iron, so I was able to decide for myself that he was in fact a great poser. His name is Ed Corney, a former Mr. Olympia competitor. It was not only Corney's ability to hit the shots properly, but it was his classic transitions between poses that made his routines quite easy on the eyes. It is fair to mention Frank Zane also had a pretty good routine. Now, of course, he had an amazing routine, but this list is for the best of the best. So for now, I'll just say Frank Zane was pretty good at hitting the shots, but I think his transitions weren't quite as good as Ed Corney's, in my opinion. In the 1980s, there was a lot of interesting routines. And by interesting, I pretty much mean strange and bizarre. I guess it was a transition period for bodybuilding, so guys were out there trying new routines. To me, Chris Dickerson really nailed his routine at the 1982 Mr. Olympia event. His movements were elegant and crisp. In my opinion, this elegant routine is what earned him the Mr. Olympia title that year. Now, this guy a lot of people might not agree with me on, but I honestly think Lee Haney was a master poser. He might not have the graceful movements of an Ed Corney, but I really enjoyed his explosive style. So I feel he deserves to be on this list. Albert Beckles, I will say, wasn't the best or even the most graceful poser, but I probably should mention him because he's probably my personal favorite. He just has that such upbeat style, I can't help but love it. Mohammed McCoway, on the other hand, was quite a talented poser, but not my personal favorite. Of course, as a judge, I would have to place him ahead of Beckles if it were up to the posing routines alone. Frank Richards, not a very well-known bodybuilder, but as far as his routines were concerned, he was second to none. Bob Paris, another guy, not very well known, but just outstanding in his routines. He's actually probably pretty underrated in his posing routines, I believe. Tony Pearson has to be one of the most entertaining bodybuilders from the 1980s. Not only that, but he was also a master at the art of posing. Here's a more recognizable face in bodybuilding, Lee Labrada. Just an incredible poser this guy was. His style reminded me a lot of Bob Paris's, only perhaps a little bit better. Either way, Lee Labrada produced some of the best posing routines I've ever seen. He definitely ranks high in this list. Vince Taylor, without a doubt, makes this list. Now, this guy would have been hard to place ahead of as far as posing routines were concerned. Not only did he have a classic posing style, but he would also step it up a notch and entertain the audience with his trademark robot posing style. Sean Ray had an outstanding posing routine, as well as Kevin Levrone. Both of these guys, probably not the best, but both very talented posers. I think as time went on, there was less emphasis placed on the posing routines, which is very unfortunate. But at this time, there was a few of the great ones, like Durham Charles. This guy had an awesome style, and was probably one of the best on this list in my opinion. Much like Vince Taylor, Durham posed with both the classical style of posing, and he could always turn it up a notch and really entertain the audience with an exciting routine. Then there was always Melvin Anthony. In my opinion, I think he is edging Durham Charles out just by a hair. Both guys have similar styles. I just think Melvin is that much more better with his movements. I will say both Durham Charles and Melvin Anthony are probably the two best ever in my opinion. But of course, this list would not be complete without Kai Green. This guy is a true master for sure. And there's a definite argument to have him as the best poser of all time. Fred Biggie Smalls is another incredible poser. I definitely believe his posing routines always helped him in his placings for sure. As sad as it is, the art of posing has taken a decline in the last 20 years or more. So it's getting harder to find really great routines. The last guy on my list really impressed me as of late. Lucas Ozladell. I think this guy could really breathe new life into the art of posing. Now that my list is complete, as always, I will pick my favorite. And it probably comes to no surprise that I choose Melvin Anthony. In my opinion, Melvin Anthony is the greatest poser of all time. Of course, this is my opinion, and it's always a personal preference on what we prefer. And that's one of the things that makes bodybuilding so great. Well, that about does it for that one. Special thanks once again to Giovanni for the great suggestion, and keep them coming. Let me know in the comments section below if you have an idea for a video that you'd like to see. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and that's it for now. This is Mark for Mark's Max Muscle.